Good evening, Mr. Romany Roy. Somebody said I don't smile enough. It didn't because I'm a miserable git or whatever, but it's just my expressions, I suppose. But I can tell the person that said that I'm perfectly happy. I just, when I'm telling these stories, because these are not stories I make up, these are events that happen. So I'm thinking hard to get them as accurate as I can. And one such story come to mind today. I was talking to my cousin Patrick this morning, then my Aunt Lizzie, and a memory come up of my Uncle Harry, my father's brother, younger brother. We got on all right, really, on the whole. Anyway, a sale come up in a place called Drift, at the other side of Penzance. Richard's brothers were running the engineering shop. They were diesel pump repairers. And they must have acquired the building or whatever, but it was an old foundry, engineering works, and it was going since the Second World War, but there was stuff everywhere you look. So I said to Uncle Harry, I said, we better go the day before, so we can have a ticket what's there. Anyway, gets down there, you wouldn't believe what was there. There's piles of stuff everywhere. Now on a sale like that, you're not going to buy everything because you'll have the one-man band engineers and a couple of people that make stuff. They're going to buy the stuff that they want. Anyway, we gets there and we're looking around. And within about 20 minutes, in pulls Jimmy May. Now, Jimmy got a scrapyard down Perrin. I've always got on all right with him, but on a good day, you'll have a laugh and a joke with you. On a bad day, he wouldn't even bother to speak to you. Anyway, when he pulled in, he got in his car and look, he was always flash. All right, boys, is it all right, Jim? Much here? I said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. He said right away, what we're going to do. I said, well, you buy one lot, we'll buy one lot. As it comes up. I said, we'll have to pay off whoever else comes. Fair enough, he said. There was enough there for everybody, see. So I'm looking around now. In one shed alone, there was 25 welders. Old Oxford welders, oil-cooled ones. But the big old yaks. And they would have two copper, big coils in them like that. There was a big copper. I have to be truthful with you, they didn't know. The only reason I knew is because we had one before. A condenser. He was about, no exaggerating, he was about 5 foot round and 8 foot long. And I knew he was full of copper tubes. The people that were going around whispering, they all said that it's stainless, but I knew there was copper. I knew there was copper. So that was there. Whole forklift there. A couple of, there was what they call an iron ferry crane there. A big old Alice Chalmers forklift. And angle irons, plates, girders, round bars, you name it was in this site. But the stuff that we was going to be interested in was all grown in brambles. You couldn't see it. So there was one particular lot there. In front, there was 45-gallon barrels filled up with offcuts of chain, nuts and bolts. So there was about 10 drums of that there. But behind it, grown in the bushes, was a lot of empty 45-gallon barrels that had rusted out. Now, back when I'm talking about, light iron was worth nothing. But I always picked it up. Malcolm Drew used to buy it off me. So that was going to be one lot that I wanted. So while I was there looking around at this particular pile in the corner, almost come over to me. He said, "You see in there, didn't you?" He said, "I've worked here 55 years. I retired here." He said, "In there, growed in the bushes, there's 10 engineering blocks in there." I said, "I'm not with you, mate." He said, "They're about 10 inches thick. They got holes in them, indentations going around the sides." He said, "Proper engine forging blocks." He said, "They're about 8 foot long by 6 foot wide." He said, "And you put them together on big trusses or blocks." He said, "And you can use them for forming anything. Bending steel, welding steel, perfectly flat blocks, engineering blocks they're called." I said, "Well, I can't see that." He said, "Well, they're in there." Anyway, I got back to myself. So, we're there all day buying stuff. Jimmy May buys a lot, we buys a lot. So the sale was all finished. And there was a bloke there that used to go around to the sales all the time. A very eccentric man called Harold Thomas. Now, Harold used to go around with a clipboard in his hand and write down the lots that he bought and this, that and the other. But a lot of auctioneers used to stop and buying stuff until he paid his bill. He'd buy stuff and he wouldn't pay his bill, and then he had to pay that off, and then they'd go on again. But anyway, he was a lovely old man. I found out at a later date he had a mill, see? A big water mill down in Camborne, a place called Baripper. I found out later on, much later on, that he was an airplane pilot. He was a very clever man. But he had some sort of tragedy in his life that turned his head. He went a bit doolally. But along with that, he was very clever. Anyway, he was then there buying bits and pieces, this, that, and the other. So he'd always commandeer Mandy, "Can you put that on your lorry, Clarence, and bring that back, Baripper, for me?" "Yeah, I'll bring it back on the last load or whatever." He said, "I'll help you load up your stuff." I said, "You can't help us load our stuff, Harold, because it's too heavy." Anyway, we buys the forklift, Jimmy May buys the crane. So, next day after the sale was over, we got to get down there because there's a lot of gunmetal valves and these welders we bought. I think we ended up buying 40 odd welders, and they only worked out about £3 a piece. Well, we know we was on some good money on they. Because bearing in mind, see, a lot of the things today the boys don't know about. We used to clean all our metal, every bit of it. So, took the burning gear down there. I took my lorry, Uncle Harry took his truck. Gets down there now. And Uncle Harry's on to me, he said, "What the fuck did you buy that light iron for?" I said, "Don't worry about that light iron much." I said, "That'll go back Drury's anyway." I said, "Don't you worry enough about it." Anyway, I know what almost told me. So I put 6 barrels, 45-gallon barrels, of this stuff on my lorry. I said, "That's enough much." I said, "I bet I'm overweight now." "No," he said. I said, "I'm telling you." Anyway, gets back to Drury's on the bridge, 5.5 ton. So I goes back now and I starts cutting up these frames. I puts a battery on the old forklift, gets that running. So we had Alan Butler in there, cutting the brambles out, so I can pull the stuff out. And he was the sledgehammer man, beating any rust off, because when you're cutting steel, scrap, you don't want to be fucked with rust. So While I was there cutting up, Uncle Harry was selling a lot of stuff to a lot of people. Jimmy May was there, loading his stuff up, having a good old crack. So I got the forklift going, and I put the forklift in where they almost said these things was. Sure enough, they was in there. Oh, the most beautiful steel things you've ever seen. But more than that, there was a pile of plate underneath there, inch thick plate. 10 ton of it there was there. So I said to Uncle Harry, I said, Dickie, how much? I said, that's your light iron for you in there, look. He dicked his blocks, his eyes lit up. He said, tell you what I'm going to do. I said, what's that? He said, put all that angle iron on my truck. They pipes and they girders. He said, I'm going to go back to Ian McGorry, Max Albers. You'll buy that. He said, 2 seconds. I said, all right. So I loads it up. Or we loads it up. He goes off. Alan Butler said to me, you won't see him no more today. He said, when he go, he said, that's it. He fucks off all day. He said, he'll be back. Don't worry about that, Al. And sure enough, he come back in behind and pulled Ian McGorry. So Ian, yeah. He said, look in there. By now we've got them all cleaned off. Oh, he said, bloody hell. He said, yeah, we'll buy they. He said, what do you want to do? Buy them by each one, or do you want to put them on a weighbridge? I said, hang on, Ian. I said, underneath they look. I said, there's all inch plate in there. All stacked up with chocks underneath. He said, we'll take the lot. I'll send the crane down and the lorry. Dory, I said to myself, that's handy, because you can even lift the forklift on the lorry for me. There's nowhere else we could have done it. Anyway, there was 10 of they blocks in there. And there was 10 ton of plate. So I think on that lot there, I think we made over 2.5 grand. Just on that one lot. I said, that's a light iron for you, Uncle Harry. He laughed. He said, good job it was, wasn't it? No, I said, well, no. We didn't give nothing for it. Jimmy May was looking, he was jumping. Anyway, we carried on loading this stuff out. And there were stillages in there with old gunmetal and brass valves in and copper pipe like that. So I got Max Albers to put that condenser on my lorry. I said, wait till we get home and clear this yet. Sure enough, I think that day on that job, time we done it all up, we cleared about 4,000 profit, 2 grand a piece. So we had a real good day. Yeah, real good day. And I saved 1 or 2 things back that I've always been a collector and hoarder, but yeah, my God. We had some lovely copper cable out of there too. Welding leads. Stillages full of them. Went with the welders. But it was heavy industry there years ago. And they did a lot of fabrication stuff for ships and whatever they was making at the time. They cast iron, melted cast iron there, and foundry there and all sorts. Yeah, we had a good time there. But me and Uncle Harry did have some good times there, man. Without that, other times. One day, we was going to go to work in the morning, see. So we're sitting down. He said, I don't want to work today, do you? I said, no, not really much. Let's go down Falmouth and hire a boat, he said. I said, all right. I said, what are we going to do? He said, we'll go fishing all day. All right. Makes myself a flask up. Sandwiches. Off we goes down Falmouth. Hires this boat. We was out there all day fucking fishing. Handsome. Got ourselves plenty of mackerel. We had a couple of gurnards that day, red gurnards. A couple of congers. Bit of ray. Yeah, it was a good old day. Me and he had some good times. I'll tell you another fucking time we had. My God almighty. We was down Marazion. This is true, go straight to me dead. Put my hand on my heart. I had a brand new pickup tonight. Me and he buys about a big rubber dinghy. Now, we didn't know fucking nothing we was doing. We drive down on the beach to launch his fucking boat. Forgot about the tide coming in. And my fucking truck was nearly underwater. We run up to the fucking, where the boatyard was, and got an old tractor started, and just managed to get me out. The water was lapping around the bottom of the doors. Yeah, I was lucky that day. We had some fucking fun though. Oh my dear God, we had some fun. Some stories I can't tell, like, you know what I mean? It was a bit too near the bone, but oh dear. So anyway, that was the tale of that sail, and I'm sorry if I've appeared to be a bit miserable. I can tell you I'm not that sort of fella, but I got to smile a bit more, according to one of my watchers. And I've never believed that I got people all over the world following me. So thank you very much, and it's bye-bye for the Romany Ride.